Mexican Mafia, Michael Torres was shot to death in prison. Cali Cartel's Gilberto Rodriguez claims he was tortured by correctional officers. While these two cartel leaders suffered a quick death and quick torture, others like Felix Gallardo and Hector Beltran suffered slowly due to the terrible conditions of their captivity. Cartel bosses are hard to trace and even more difficult to incarcerate. When they finally end up in prison, they often face horrible fates. Let's see some of their stories. Lester Koch was burnt to death in prison. Lester Lloyd Koch, infamously known as Jim Brown, was a formidable figure in the world of organized crime. As a Jamaican drug lord, he carved out a notorious reputation as the founder of the Shower Posse, a gang that originated from the Tivoli Gardens Garrison community in West Kingston. The gang's name, Shower Posse, was derived from their method of operation, which involved showering their enemies with bullets. Koch's criminal empire eventually caught the attention of law enforcement agencies, both in Jamaica and the United States. In the early 1990s, he was arrested and faced extradition to the United States on drug trafficking charges. However, before he could be extradited, a mysterious and tragic event occurred. While incarcerated in a Jamaican prison, a fire broke out in Koch's cell, leading to his untimely death by burning. The circumstances surrounding the fire were shrouded in mystery, as the source of the blaze was never identified. This lack of clarity fueled rampant speculation and conspiracy theories, with many believing that Koch's death was not an accident, but rather a calculated murder orchestrated by unknown parties. While Koch died, the next cartel boss on this list is still alive but facing harsh realities in prison. Miguel Gallardo was tortured in prison. Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, often referred to as El Padrino or the Godfather, was a pivotal figure in the history of drug trafficking in Mexico. As a convicted Mexican drug kingpin, he co-founded the Guadalajara Cartel, which rose to prominence in the 1980s. This cartel was instrumental in controlling the flow of drugs across Mexico and along the Mexico-United States border, establishing a sophisticated network that would lay the groundwork for future cartels. El Padrino's reign came to an end in 1989 when he was arrested for his involvement in the murder of DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena. Following his arrest, Felix Gallardo was incarcerated, and his life took a drastic turn. While in prison, Felix Gallardo frequently complained about the deplorable conditions he was subjected to. He described his living conditions as inhumane. Felix Gallardo's health began to deteriorate significantly. He suffered from a range of ailments, including vertigo. Despite his complaints and the severity of his ailments, there has been little improvement in his situation. Although his health may have worsened over time, he is still alive, unlike the next boss on this list. Michael Torres was stabbed to death. Michael Torres was a prominent figure within the Mexican Mafia, a notorious criminal organization that wielded significant influence over various gangs in California. Known for his strategic acumen and ruthless leadership, Torres played a crucial role in overseeing gang activities in the San Fernando Valley. His influence extended into the Los Angeles County jails, where he orchestrated drug and extortion rackets with precision and authority. In the San Fernando Valley, Torres was known for his iron-fisted control over local gangs. He ensured that the Mexican Mafia's interests were protected and that any rival factions were swiftly dealt with. His operations were not limited to the streets. Inside the Los Angeles County jails, Torres managed a lucrative drug and extortion racket. He exploited the vulnerabilities of the prison system, using intimidation and violence to maintain his hold over the inmates and staff alike. In the California State Prison, Sacramento, Torres's life came to a violent end. He was stabbed to death in a brutal attack. The circumstances surrounding his murder aren't clear, with speculation about whether it was a result of internal gang conflicts or a targeted hit by rival factions. Torres was killed violently, but the next cartel boss we will talk about is still suffering in prison. Joaquin Guzman was tortured in prison. Joaquin Archivaldo Guzman Loera, widely known as El Chapo, is a name that resonates with power and infamy in the world of drug trafficking. As a former leader of the Sinaloa cartel, Guzman was at the helm of one of the most powerful and influential drug cartels in the world. His rise to power was marked by his cunning strategies, brutal enforcement, and an intricate network that spanned continents. El Chapo's luck ran out in January 2017 when he was extradited from Mexico to the United States to face a litany of charges, including drug trafficking, money laundering, and murder. Once in the United States, Guzman was held in a high-security prison. According to Guzman, his incarceration was marked by severe isolation. He was held in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day, with only 1 hour allotted for exercise in a small, enclosed area. Guzman's complaints extended to the lack of access to fresh air and natural light, which he claimed affected his physical and mental health. He also reported being subjected to constant surveillance. While Guzman's prison conditions might not be the most favorable, he is still better than the next cartel boss who was shot 7 times in prison. Francisco Buitrago was brutally killed in prison. Francisco Helmer Herrera Buitrago, known by his aliases Pacho and H7, was a prominent figure in the world of drug trafficking. As a Colombian drug trafficker, he held a significant position within the Cali Cartel, one of the most powerful and influential drug cartels in Colombia during the 1980s and 1990s. The Cali Cartel was known for its sophisticated operations and its ability to rival the infamous Medellin Cartel led by Pablo Escobar. Herrera Buitrago's rise within the cartel was marked by his intelligence and ability to navigate the complex and dangerous world of drug trafficking. Despite his high-ranking position and the power he wielded, Herrera Buitrago's life was fraught with danger. The world of drug trafficking is inherently. In 1996, Herrera Buitrago was captured and subsequently incarcerated. While in prison, Herrera Buitrago's past caught up with him in the most brutal way possible. On November 6, 1998, he was shot 7 times in the head by Rafael Angel Uribe Serna, a fellow inmate. The attack was swift and deadly, leaving no chance for survival. Just like Buitrago, the next cartel boss on this list was also brutally murdered in jail. Joseph Hutchinson was stabbed in prison. Joseph Hutchinson was a high-ranking member of the Mexican Mafia, a notorious and powerful criminal organization that operates both inside and outside the prison system in the United States. Known for its ruthless enforcement and extensive control over various criminal enterprises, the Mexican Mafia, or La M, has long been a dominant force in the world of organized crime. Hutchinson's position within this organization was a testament to his influence and the respect he commanded among his peers. On August 4, 2023, Hutchinson's life came to a violent end when he was fatally stabbed in Los Angeles County's Men's Central Jail. While the motive isn't clear, some theories suggest that it was the result of an internal power struggle within the Mexican Mafia, while others point to possible retaliation by rival gangs. His death also raised questions about the security measures in place within the prison system as authorities grappled with the challenge of preventing such violent incidents. Unfortunately, Hutchinson's case wasn't unique to him. On multiple occasions, inmates get killed by other inmates, and in some cases, corrupt guards look the other way, as you'll see with our next story. Ezequiel Romo was stabbed to death. Ezequiel Romo, infamously known as Wicked Romo, was a prominent figure in the Los Angeles drug scene. His notoriety as a drug lord was built on a foundation of fear and respect, as he commanded a vast network of criminal enterprises that extended across the city. Romo's operations were marked by their ruthlessness and efficiency, earning him a reputation as one of the most formidable drug lords in the region. Romo's influence extended beyond the streets of Los Angeles as he established connections with other drug cartels and criminal networks, further solidifying his position as a key player in the drug trade. His criminal activities eventually caught up with him, leading to his arrest and incarceration. He was held at Centinela State Prison in Imperial County, where he continued to wield influence despite being behind bars. However, his life came to a violent end when he was stabbed to death in a brutal attack within the prison walls. While most of the drug lords we've discussed so far typically got harsh and inhumane treatment during their time in prison, the next one on the list enjoyed a lot of luxury. Pablo Escobar was killed in prison. Pablo Escobar, often referred to as the King of Cocaine, was a Colombian drug lord whose influence and power were unmatched in the world of narcotics trafficking. As the founder and sole leader of the Medellin Cartel, Escobar built an empire that controlled the majority of the cocaine trade into the United States during the 1980s. His operations were marked by their scale and sophistication, making him one of the wealthiest and most feared criminals in history. In an attempt to negotiate with the Colombian government and avoid extradition to the United States, Escobar agreed to surrender and serve time in prison. Escobar was allowed to build his own luxurious prison, known as La Catedral. This arrangement, however, was short-lived, as the Colombian government faced mounting pressure to take action against Escobar. In 1992, fearing that he would be transferred to a more conventional prison, Escobar attempted to escape from La Catedral. During the escape attempt, he and a bodyguard were pursued by Colombian authorities. The chase culminated on a rooftop where Escobar was shot multiple times to his death. Unlike Escobar, who died from a gunshot wound, the next cartel boss here died of illness made worse by poor prison conditions. Gilberto Rodriguez was tortured in prison. Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela was a prominent figure in the world of drug trafficking, known for his role as a leader of the Cali Cartel. Alongside his brother Miguel, Gilberto helped establish the Cali Cartel as a dominant force in the cocaine trade during the 1980s and 1990s. The cartel was renowned for its sophisticated operations and strategic approach, which contrasted with the more more violent tactics of their bitter rival, Pablo Escobar, and the Medellin cartel. In 1995, however, Gilberto was captured by Colombian authorities and later extradited to the United States, where he faced charges related to drug trafficking and money laundering. While in prison, Gilberto Rodriguez Orihuela faced a range of health problems, exacerbated by the poor conditions of his confinement. His attorney, David O. Marcus, highlighted the severity of his ailments, which included heart issues, cancer, and other age-related illnesses. The inadequate medical care and harsh conditions in prison took a toll on Gilberto's health, leading to a steady decline over the years. On May 31, 2022, Gilberto passed away at the age of 83 in a prison medical center in Butner, North Carolina. Unfortunately, Rodriguez isn't the only one who suffered poor health due to prison conditions, as you'll see shortly. Hector Leyva was tortured in prison. Hector Beltran. Leyva was a prominent Mexican drug lord and the leader of the Beltran-Leyva Cartel, a powerful drug trafficking organization that played a significant role in the narcotics trade across Mexico and beyond. The Beltran-Leyva Cartel, founded by Hector and his brothers, was known for its ruthless tactics and strategic alliances with other criminal organizations, including the Sinaloa Cartel. In 2014, he was captured by Mexican authorities, marking the end of his reign as a drug lord. His arrest was a significant blow to the Beltran-Leyva Cartel, which had already been weakened by the capture or death of other key members. Hector's incarceration marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life. While in a maximum security prison, Hector Beltran-Leyva faced a range of health issues, exacerbated by the poor conditions of his confinement. He suffered from chest pains, a symptom that was attributed to the inadequate medical care and harsh treatment he received in prison. The lack of proper health care and the stress of incarceration took a toll on Hector's health, leading to a steady decline over time. In response to his deteriorating condition, Hector was transferred to a hospital in the nearby city of Toluca. His case is similar to the next one on the list. Carlos Rivas was tortured in prison. Carlos Enrique Later Rivas, born in 1949 in Armenia, Colombia, emerged as a pivotal figure in the world of drug trafficking. As a co-founder of the notorious Medellin cartel, Later played a crucial role in revolutionizing the cocaine trade. His innovative methods of smuggling cocaine into the United States, particularly through the use of Norman's Cay in the Bahamas as a strategic transshipment point, marked a new era in the drug trade. Later's operations were characterized by their audacity and scale, making him one of the most influential drug lords of his time. Later's criminal empire, however, came crashing down when he was captured in 1987 and extradited to the United States. Once in U.S. custody, Later faced severe prison conditions that took a significant toll on his health. He was held in solitary confinement for extended periods, which led to both physical and mental deterioration. After serving his sentence, Later was released from prison on June 15, 2020. He was escorted by 2 U.S. officials on a commercial flight from New York to Frankfurt, where he was handed over to German authorities. While Later suffered after he started serving time, the next cartel boss on this list was allegedly maltreated by the authorities, even during extradition. Ociel Guillen was tortured in prison. Ociel Cardenas Guillen, born in 1967 in Matamoros, Tamaulipas, Mexico, rose to infamy as a formidable drug lord and the former leader of the Gulf Cartel and Los Zetas. Guillen's ascent to power began in the late 1990s when he took control of the Gulf Cartel, one of Mexico's most powerful criminal organizations. Under his leadership, the cartel expanded its operations, engaging in drug trafficking, money laundering, and violent criminal activities. Guillen was known for his ruthless approach, employing former military personnel to form Los Zetas, a paramilitary enforcement arm that became notorious for its brutality and efficiency. In 2003, Guillen's reign came to an end when he was captured by the Mexican military. His arrest marked a significant victory in the fight against organized crime, but it also set the stage for a complex legal battle. Guillen was eventually extradited to the United States, where he faced a slew of charges related to drug trafficking and organized crime. However, his transfer to the U.S. was marred by accusations of inhumane conditions. Reports emerged that Guillen was subjected to harsh treatment during his extradition process. Guillen faced hardship during extradition, but the next cartel boss on this list claims he was mistreated in other ways. Damaso Nunez was maltreated in prison. Damaso Lopez Nunez, widely known as El Licenciado, emerged as a key figure in the Sinaloa Cartel, one of the most powerful drug trafficking organizations in the world. Born in 1966 in Sinaloa, Mexico, Lopez's journey into the criminal underworld was marked by a unique blend of intelligence and ambition. Before his rise in the cartel, Lopez served as a law enforcement officer, which provided him with invaluable insights into the workings of the legal system. This background facilitated his ascent within the cartel ranks, eventually leading him to become the boss of the Sinaloa Cartel from 2017 to 2018. Lopez's leadership was characterized by strategic maneuvers and a keen understanding of the drug trade's complexities. However, his reign was short-lived, as he was captured in 2017 and extradited to the United States. While in custody, Lopez made allegations of misconduct. Unfortunately, no one was punished, and the allegations were thrown out as nothing but an excuse to get a reduced sentence. The truth of the matter remains a mystery to this day. The next case wasn't about direct misconduct, but complaints about the harsh conditions of most prisons that house cartel members, especially in Latino-speaking countries. Edgar Valdez was tortured in prison. Edgar Valdez Villarreal, infamously known as La Barbie, was a Mexican-American former drug lord who carved a notorious path in the world of organized crime. Born on August 11, 1973 in Laredo, Texas, Valdez's journey into the criminal underworld began in the 1990s. His nickname, La Barbie, was derived from his fair complexion and striking blue eyes, which was the opposite of his ruthless reputation. Valdez rose to prominence as a high-ranking lieutenant of the Beltran Leyva Cartel, a powerful criminal organization involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, and violent criminal activities. Valdez's role within the cartel was marked by his brutal enforcement tactics. He was instrumental in expanding the cartel's operations and was known for his involvement in high-profile kidnappings and murders. His reign of terror came to an end in 2010 when he was captured by Mexican authorities and later extradited to the United States. While incarcerated in the U.S., Valdez's treatment became a focal point of controversy. Reports emerged of harsh conditions and potential mistreatment, raising ethical questions about the treatment of high-profile inmates. Our next story isn't about misconduct from the correctional facilities, but violence from a fellow inmate. John Joseph was beaten in prison. John Joseph Gotti Jr., a name synonymous with the American Mafia, was a notorious mafioso and the boss of the Gambino crime family in New York City. Born on October 27, 1940 in the Bronx, New York, Gotti's rise to power was marked by a blend of charisma, cunning, and ruthless ambition. Known as the Teflon Don for his ability to evade conviction, Gotti became a media sensation in the 1980s, embodying the image of the untouchable mob boss. His leadership of the Gambino crime family was characterized by a series of high-profile criminal activities, including racketeering, murder, and extortion. Gotti's reign, however, came to an end in 1992 when he was convicted of murder and racketeering, leading to a life sentence in prison. While incarcerated, Gotti's notoriety followed him. In a notable incident, a fellow inmate named Walter Johnson attacked Gotti in the prison recreation room. The altercation left Gotti bruised and bleeding. Despite his reputation and influence, Gotti was not immune to the dangers of prison life, where power dynamics and personal vendettas often lead to violent confrontations. The next cartel boss on this list also had a terrible experience in prison, but he was able to get a favorable deal from prosecutors. Frank Lucas was tortured in prison. Frank Lucas, an infamous figure in the world of drug trafficking, was an American drug lord who operated primarily in Harlem, New York City. Born on September 9, 1930, in LaGrange, North Carolina, Lucas rose to prominence in the 1960s and 1970s. He was renowned for his innovative approach to the heroin trade, famously smuggling the drug from Southeast Asia into the United States using the coffins of American soldiers returning from the Vietnam War. Lucas's criminal empire, however, was not to last. In 1975, he was arrested and subsequently convicted of drug trafficking, leading to a lengthy prison sentence. While incarcerated, Lucas's health began to deteriorate significantly. The harsh conditions of prison life took a toll on his physical well-being, exacerbating existing health issues and leading to new complications. As his health worsened, it became increasingly clear that his continued imprisonment posed a serious risk to his life. Recognizing the severity of his condition, prosecutors eventually agreed to a sentence of 5 years probation, allowing Lucas to be released from prison. Unfortunately, our next drug lord didn't have the privilege of getting released on probation. Miguel Angel was tortured in prison. Miguel Angel Trevino Morales, infamously known by his alias Zeta 40, was a founding member and leader of the notorious Zetas Cartel, one of the most violent and feared criminal organizations in Mexico. Born in 1970 in Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, Trevino's rise to power was marked by a ruthless approach to leadership and an unparalleled penchant for violence. The Zetas, originally formed by deserters from the Mexican Army's Special Forces, became known for their brutal tactics, including beheadings, mass killings, and other acts of extreme violence that instilled fear across Mexico and beyond. Trevino's leadership of the Zetas was characterized by a strategic expansion of the cartel's operations, which included drug trafficking, extortion, kidnapping, and human smuggling. His reign of terror came to an end in 2013 when he was captured by Mexican authorities. Trevino faced harsh treatment in Mexican prisons. Overcrowding, violence, and corruption were the order of the day in his prison, as with many Mexican prisons. He didn't get any protection or special treatment from the correctional officers. The next cartel leader on this list didn't just get maltreated, he also maltreated others and orchestrated a massacre in prison. Ernesto Alfredo was tortured in prison. Ernest Alfredo, alias El Neto, was leader of Los Mexicles, a formidable street gang aligned with the Sinaloa cartel. El Neto wielded unparalleled power. His reign was marked by ruthless tactics and strategic alliances, cementing Los Mexicles' grip on the city's lucrative drug trade. But El Neto's ascent was soon disrupted by the long arm of the law. Imprisoned for his crimes, he faced harsh conditions that belied basic human dignity. Solitary confinement and restrictive privileges were only the beginning. El Neto alleged denial of medical care for his tuberculosis and endured physical and psychological torture at the hands of prison authorities. Yet even behind bars, El Neto's influence persisted. On August 25, 2009, his legacy became forever entwined with one of Mexico's most infamous prison massacres. A rivalry between Los Mexicles and Los Aztecas ignited a deadly inferno within the Ciudad Juarez prison, leaving 17 people dead, including 10 guards. Investigations pointed to El Neto as the mastermind, orchestrating the carnage from his cell using smuggled firearms and coordinating with loyal gang members. Of course, El Neto isn't the only cartel member who was allegedly denied medical care, as you'll see shortly. Daniel Barrera Hernandez was tortured in prison. Daniel Barrera Hernandez, infamous as El Loco, once ruled Colombia's underworld with an iron fist. His Norte del Valle cartel empire sprawled across continents, fueling addiction and violence. Barrera Hernandez's ascent began in the 1990s, navigating Colombia's complex cartel landscape. His ruthless tactics and strategic alliances propelled him to the top of the Norte del Valle cartel. El Loco's empire expanded, controlling vast cocaine trafficking operations spanning Colombia, Mexico, and the United States. But in 2013, U.S. authorities closed in, extraditing Barrera Hernandez to face justice. The trial exposed El Loco's ruthless reign: murder, kidnapping, bribery, and cocaine trafficking on a massive scale. In 2015, a U.S. court sentenced him to 60 years behind bars. Now, within the fortress-like walls of Administrative Maximum (ADX) federal prison, Barrera Hernandez faces a different kind of struggle. Allegations swirl around his treatment. For starters, he mostly stays in solitary confinement with prolonged isolation and restricted privileges aimed at severing his ties to his cartel. Some claim he's endured physical mistreatment, verbal insults, and denied medical care, just like the last gang leader on this list. Juan Pablo Ledesma Costilla was tortured. Juan Pablo Ledesma Costilla, infamously known as LJL or El Pablito, once ruled Los Zetas cartel with an iron fist. Born in 1976 in Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico, Ledesma Costilla's ascent to power began as a top lieutenant to Miguel Trevino Morales, alias Z40. After Trevino's capture in 2013, Ledesma Costilla seized control of Los Zetas' Nuevo Laredo faction. His reign was marked by ruthless drug trafficking operations, widespread extortion, brutal kidnappings, and merciless murders. Ledesma Costilla's empire crumbled in 2014 when he was arrested in San Pedro Garza Garcia, Nuevo León. He was extradited to the U.S. in 2016 to face charges. In 2018, Ledesma Costilla pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit international narcotics trafficking and conspiracy to commit murder. He received a life sentence plus 20 years. Behind bars, Ledesma Costilla allegedly endured physical mistreatment during interrogation, denial of medical care for chronic health issues, and harsh conditions in solitary confinement. Reports suggest his isolation cell lacked adequate lighting, proper ventilation, and basic amenities. Sources close to his family claim Ledesma Costilla's mental health deteriorated, and he experienced anxiety and depression. His physical condition worsened due to inadequate medical care. Ledesma Costilla is currently incarcerated at the Administrative Maximum (ADX) federal prison in Florence, Colorado. Thanks for watching. Check out the other cards on the screen.